What did that do to you mentally and emotionally as you're growing up? You say you didn't know what was happening until you're like in grade seven. And how did that mold you into a teenager?
Like I said in the early part, I didn't know it was wrong. So it would happen like every other day, probably 3, 4 times a week, and I thought it was normal. Of course, I was warned never to tell anybody because, of course, the threats would come. I'm going to kill your grandmother. I'm going to kill your grandfather. And the grandfather that I mentioned, I didn't even know that he was my grandfather until all the later years. But there was something that always pulled me to that man, and he was the one who taught me to read, and he built my confidence. All of that happened in St. Mary. Now, when I was 12, my dad met this lady, and they decided that they were going to get married, and so they pulled me from St. Mary to Kingston for the wedding. But I did not know that I wasn't going back to live with my grandmother. So after the wedding, I was told that I would be going to high school in Kingston. Now they put me at Tivoli Gardens High School. So can you imagine coming out of St. Mary and coming into Kingston, all of that cultural shock? Because there were cars, there were bright lights, big buildings, a lot of kids. I didn't know what to do with myself. And so I remember my first, at that time they call it guidance and counseling. I don't know what they call it now in school. And in my first class, the teacher introduced herself and she said that she was going to talk about how you develop and, about good touches and bad touches and things of that nature. When she began to explain, the parts of your body and, the touches and people not supposed to touch you here and touch you there, I was like, what? It was as if something burst in my head. I remember I ran through that classroom door. I didn't even know how I got through the door. I ran through the classroom door, and for those who know the playfield at Tivoli Gardens High School, it is a huge playfield. And I was just running. I didn't know where I was running to because it was as if everything at once just came on me to say that all these years of being touched and poked and pushed and all of these things, it was wrong. And it was as if I was going mad. And I just began to run. I was running and running. And I remember the teacher called out to some guys on the playfield to say, hold there, hold there. They thought that I did something wrong, so they didn't want to catch me. But when she began to scream, and she said, no, hold there, they ran me down. And I don't even remember what happened after that, because it was as if I was going crazy to finally realize that all of this thing was wrong. And it was coming from adults. So that day changed me completely. I was never the same.